Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the LP podcast. Today we're actually trying something a little bit different, and we hope you like it because I think you are going to enjoy it. We're going to be doing a spotlight on a few blind musicians and see what they do, how they do it, and what they think need to be changed around the music industry and their setups and all that kind of stuff too, as it relates to blindness. So if you guys want to be a part of that, you guys can get a hold of me, and just don't skip through to the end just to try to get a hold of me. Listen through to this whole thing because we know you're going to enjoy it. So today I have with me Nikola, or as he is known on Twitter as NS Studios, or his website as well. So how are you doing today?
I am doing fine. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate that you have called me to be a guest on your podcast.
You're welcome. Anytime. So let's go ahead and just not waste any time and get into this. So tell me, what gear do you use, and what do you do? What makes Nikola and NS Studios NS Studios?
So, I'm Nikola from Serbia, and I do music production, sound design, Windows programming, web development, all sorts of stuff. I use different MIDI keyboards, studio microphones, and a few audio interfaces, mixers, and stuff like that.
Okay, that's cool. So is there anything that you would change about the things that you use to make them more accessible for you?
Well, yes, some of the mixers I have came across, like the control panel for them, are totally inaccessible. So I would love that companies paid more attention to that because, of course, control panel matters a lot. It matters a lot that you can adjust the levels appropriately and configure the audio interface or mixer correctly.
Mhm. Yeah, same here. What software are you using with those controllers?
I use Reaper and different VST plugins for my production. I do many electronic music like dubstep, dance, and so on. So there's also the accessibility problem with some of the plugins that are basically inaccessible, and I have been tricking my way into using them by running programs that would automate clicking basically on different parts of the user interface. But I wish that programmers paid more attention to that so that blind people can use the VST plugins as well.
Hmm. Okay. What's one of the hardest things besides the software and the hardware about being a blind musician?
I think it's about just being recognized because people usually doubt, and I think it's a lot harder to get recognized and to do things that you might but that you aren't able, like do a spot for your music or just stuff like that. And as it is the case for me, I wish I could perform somewhere, but people doubt in the ability as a blind person that I can do it, and I have been rejected many times or ignored. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind.
Hmm. Yeah, because even you want to go out and play and you want to go out and gig just like I do,
Yeah,
and it's the hardest thing is getting venues to understand that you're the same as everybody else. But then some of the other things are getting a ride to there and getting a ride from, and all that other
yeah,
kind of stuff as well. And then doing it all by yourself. I don't think people understand. Running a business is hard enough, but running a production studio like me and you do is even harder because
exactly.
not only do we have to deal with our struggles, our internal struggles, which we'll get to in a minute, but we also have to deal with other people, and
Yeah,
it's it's the other people that are harder to deal with than it is us.
yeah.
Unfortunately. So what are some of the internal frustrations that you have to face when you're doing production stuff, and what are some of the things that you do to help in those situations?
Well, I'm usually a chill person, so I try to not burst out. But there's situations when, as I said, there's some inaccessible piece of hardware, software that I really like the demos of, but can't use, and I get frustrated. But I find eventually a replacement.
Yeah, so same here. Like, so there's like some of those modeling amp software that I like to use, but can't because well didn't make it accessible. Okay,
Yeah,
then that's you just have to figure it out. So you you hit on some of the instruments that you play.
I play piano and keyboard. Have been playing piano for over 10 years. Started at about 5 years old,
Oh wow.
and have been playing keyboard in a band of the music school I have been attending.
Okay, that's pretty cool. That's awesome. So did you get your degree or are you self-taught?
Well, it depends. I'm self-taught in the way that I learned most about how to do things in digital audio workstations on my own and
Okay.
how to do mixing on my own. But
Mhm.
I have a music high school diploma from the Department of Music Production and Sound Design.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Awesome. And then you just started the company and you've been out on your own ever since.
yeah.
Cool. So, do you use what is this? What is some of the special hardware that you use to augment some inaccessible software or some inaccessible features of some accessible software?
I don't really use any hardware. Like sometimes I would use OCR, for example, hardware with the OCR feature to scan the window of inaccessible
Mm-hmm.
software, but I mean nothing unusual.
Right. Okay. So you said you use controllers. What is the current controller that you're using?
I currently have the Roland A500 Pro
Okay.
controller.
Okay. Awesome. I have a right now. I have a PreSonus fader port that I have hooked up using when I'm using Reaper, and I find that to be enough for right now. But I'd like to get something a little bit bigger, eventually later on down the road.
Yeah, I also got the portable grand piano from the Yamaha. It's Yamaha DGX 630,
Oh, nice.
which is basically a sequencer.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not a controller, but it also comes with a USB cable that you can use as the controller. Then,
Yeah. So basically, just a input
yeah,
device. Cool. Cool. So, what are you most excited about when it comes to accessible hardware or software in terms of the music industry?
how do you mean like features or?
Just like anything in general, like features, like software that you've heard about that you may want to check out if it's accessible. Any of the latest hardware that you could, if you could take anything and go to a company and say make this accessible, what would you make accessible?
That's a hard question, but I'm usually excited about features and accessibility
Mm-hmm.
because usually companies don't pay attention to that, and when you come across companies that do, that's really golden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it just makes you feel like they're listening and actually want to work with you and actually care,
Yeah,
which is kind of hard to find any days. If you guys have been following me on Twitter, I've mentioned Novation a couple of times because I like their stuff. And I have one of their keyboards, but uh, it's just they just seem to not care, which is a shame because it's a really cool company. But I look at it as their loss, pretty much.
yeah, well, of course. And I think that is basically overcomplicating things. It's usually
Exactly.
that when they overcomplicate, then they break accessibility.
Right.
Like I use many of the VST plugins that are basically simple by work, and
Right.
then they're more complex ones, and then they don't.
Exactly. So, what's one of the weirdest things that you've ever done in music, and you've either put it out there for people to listen to, or you've tucked it away because you think it's just been that weird that you just don't know if you want to put it out there.
Once I decided to make a track that was gonna be rendered with two different synths, basically software and hardware. I had a track once that I rendered with my Yamaha DGX 630 and then rendered with the Hypersonic and mixed them together, which then sounded weird. but but I still released it because I mean it didn't sound bad. It's just unusual.
Right, right. And that's all the rage these days. Which okay, which is totally, totally, whatever people want to listen to. I guess. But what's one of the things that you would change about the music industry if you could go up to one of the leaders in the music industry and say, "Hey, I want to change this." What would it be?
My biggest frustration about the music industry is I feel like it's more about the addictiveness of the song than it is about the artistic quality of songs. Like, it's usually very minimalistic in terms of, chords and
Mm-hmm.
just composing part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the music needs to have a better quality.
Uh huh.
I have always been for, quality over quantity because I feel like the quality is something that will stick in the future. But if you just make a song that will be addictive, those songs pretty much just get forgotten the next month, basically.
Right. Right. So, what are uh, some of the inspirations that keep you going in your music?
You mean like what artists inspire me, or
Exactly. Yeah. What artists and what kind of music inspires you to do what you do?
I listen to a lot of vocal trance, dance, and I listen to basically all of the stuff I make. It inspires me when I hear somebody doing it well,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't copy. It just inspires me. And another thing about the music industry I forgot to mention is that I see the lack of originality.
Yes.
If you go to like dubstep channel of digitally imported,
Mm-hmm.
you'll think that what you're hearing is Gorilla because it sounds exactly the same, but it's not. It's a different artist.
Mm-hmm.
And someone who has inspired me was DJ Tiesto because I had been listening to his music since I was a kid, and Benny Benassi, people like that.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. So, if people wanted to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
My website is at www.nsstudiosweb.com, and they can find my contact details by clicking on the contact us link. Or my Twitter account is NIKOLA underline STOJSIC. And my company Twitter account is NS Studios underline co. So you can find me there.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on and talking to us about your career and what you do, uh, and it's been really, really, really good. So thanks for coming on, and we will talk.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.
Sure. Bye.
You've been listening to the LP podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Blind Podcaster. That's BLINDPODCASTER. Don't forget to check out the website, lindsayproductions.com, for the LP audio package where we will record, produce, and publish your podcast. So you don't have to do anything. You don't have to worry about production. You can just do what you need to do to get more views and be creative. Let us worry about the production. Also, we want to announce the new edition of iOS modules where for subscription you'll be able to get a ton of iOS modules for your iOS devices. That will be coming very, very soon. And for that subscription you get everything that we offer. So look out for those in the upcoming months. Thanks for listening to the podcast. We hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.